sunny California where everybody like to go. People go for vacations, bro. A trip was because I was going to a penitentiary out there. You understand me? So these are the things that, you know, when you get your privileges back when you get out the SMOOP program, which stands for Special Management. So, you know, I went down there and this all started over basketball.
I want to welcome everybody back to another episode of Tales from the Jail. This episode is sponsored by TNS Media Group. TNS Media Group, you're looking to get in the world of social media, start your own podcast, reach out to TNS Media Group. So this episode of Tales from the Jail is going to speak about the importance of or how to mingle or how to interact with other inmates, other sets, other neighborhoods, other states, so forth and so on, while you're in the state pen or federal penitentiary, and how it normally works. So when someone comes into the federal penitentiary, right? Mm-hmm. See someone they know, they may that, whether it's religious, I don't want to say religious groups, or I would say groups of people upon the same religion, so forth and so on. They tend to go with them or go with people from the neighborhood, so forth and so on. What's the rules against intermingling with other people outside of the people that of your group that you are, or that you call your family or friends, so forth and so on? What's the rules on that?
Well, it all depends on, in the federal system, man, is real geographical. When I say geographical, it's not like our state system. When I say geographical, and it'd be like North Philly, West Philly, South Philly, and we all stick to our own little corners of Philadelphia. It's a larger scale of geographical when we're talking about federal time. You're talking about whole cities, whole, coasts that ride together. When I say like they got something called the coalition. The coalition mean all Midwest, Chicago, Milwaukee, St. Louis, Grand Rapids, anything they call that a coalition. They got something that you call a DMV, which stands for DC, Maryland, and Virginia. Mm-hmm. They all ride together, and it's called the DMV. They underneath one alliance, one banner. Then you have, you got your Pennsylvania dudes, you got your Philly dudes, your Pittsburgh dudes, and us in Pittsburgh, so many bad blood there is, I'm cool with a lot of Pittsburgh. A lot of them is my men, but from what I hear, I've never been upstate, so I hear that, you have your Philly and your Pittsburgh beefs and stuff like that, and it seems like that carries over into the feds, to whereas though other cities don't be, they'll let that go, just where they can form up real strong, the whole city. Mm-hmm. But when you come in, man, blacks can tend to mingle with other people other than their own ethnic background as far as what city they from. So I could come in and get cool with a DC dude, and me and him might be walking a track every day. This might be my homie, but if me and him get to fighting each other, it will definitely draw a line in the same way. The Philly dudes will be all out there and all the DC dudes will be out there, whatever. Now, mingling with a Mexican or a Puerto Rican or an Asian or a Samoan, what we call these dudes others, it'd be hard to get into them groups. Like a white AB supremacist group and all that, they don't let other races mingle with them. Mm. Like they have a law in California to where as though the Mexicans do not serve you food, because they got the commissary and stuff like that. They won't sell nothing to a black. They won't tattoo on a black. Anything to do with a black, they're not basically doing. Period.
Wow. No, this is not a rule of the penitentiary. This is a rule of the inmates.
The rule of a penitentiary is the rule of inmates. So it's the same rule.
What I'm saying, this is not something like an inmate can get in trouble for doing by
guards.
Yeah.
Oh no. These are governed rules by inmates.
Because the inmates run the jail.
Yes. Now, when you get sanctioned by a guard, it's because you did some stuff, breaking rules that was because of how the prison wanted to be ran. But the external rules, the inner rules that really count is the prison politics. Mm. They are the rules that matter.
Wow. So now, intermingling, is it like this omen? You over there hanging with the Mexicans, you over there hanging with the Ricans, you over hanging with the blacks, you over hanging with...
It won't never get to that because you won't be over there hanging with them. You won't be over there hanging with Puerto Ricans and Mexicans. No, they got their own car and that's how they ride.
So describe car. What you mean by car?
Car meaning we from Philadelphia.
Okay.
In the federal system, you get your last three numbers tells where you from. So 066 is a Philly number. Mm-hmm. So anybody that gets off the bus with a 066 number, you already know he's from Philly. And that is a car. The whole Philadelphia is a car. We ride underneath one banner. You got DC 007. That whole DC is one car. You know, you got your Chicago dudes, or you got your Nietas or your GDs. That's a car. Each one that I'm saying individually are cars, meaning that whole whatever it is made up of a car. And a car is just a nickname saying for a city.
So what if a Mexican is from Philadelphia?
There'd be Paisa. Paisa is the strongest Mexican in the jail. That means family man. You know, Paisa, countryman, countryman, Paisa. And you know, they banned it because they got tired of getting taken advantage of by the blacks. Blacks is raping them, robbing them, whooping them. So they banned it together to stop this oppression that was being afflicted upon them.
Wow.
So, and then people will look at it as a gang, like Islam. Islam is looked at as a gang in jail.
Wow.
Because you can't walk up to a Muslim brother and slap all the fire out of him without that whole Jamaat or community out in that rec yard trying to find out who did that and why we need to see him. Now, you could go smack a Christian, unless that one individual Christian is a man himself and will fight for himself, that smack will go unchecked.
Wow. Wow. Oh, wow. So now the sitting, the hanging, all this stuff, you know, next to these people. So how was it separated on the yard? Like, it's like, so
well, you got a big rec yard. You got a rec yard that's humongous, that as big as some of these baseball fields that you see, these major baseball fields. This is how big an actual rec yard be. And then certain rec yards and certain jails you go to is already divided up in certain spots. You might got a softball area over here. You might got a bocce ball area over here. Then they'll mix some dirt and throw a volleyball tennis net up, so you know dudes will be playing volleyball. Then you got the main track. Then you might have a basketball court out there. So now dudes will take different positions in each yard.
Yeah.
You know, and it'll become so common throughout the years that will be like a certain city section. Like if you go in the chow hall, the same way as in the chow hall, you have the Mexicans sitting there, the DC dudes sitting there, Philly dudes sitting there, Muslims sit there, Carolina dudes sit there. It's divided. Everything is very divided in there. So you can't just walk over and sit down at the DC table unless you're over there with one of them and they invited you to the table. But if you went over there and just sat down, you'll have dudes pulling up with you. And how they talk, what's up, Slim? This ain't your table right here, Slim. You got to go ahead and kill and get on over and get up on off this spot. And if you can sit there and say, no, I'm going to go ahead and sit here and eat until I'm done eating, I'll leave. And that's a whole nother issue in itself.
Yeah. Wow. So people, this intermingling with other than your actual group of people that you are with is totally illegal.
It's not illegal. It's done, but it's still frowned upon.
So it's my see over there. Why you over hanging with them? They ask you a question.
Exactly. That's why it's frowned upon.
So you ain't playing no what's that, handball? No, dude, you ain't playing no basketball, no baseball, nothing with anybody other than your guys.
Yeah. No. You are. You have tournaments called Rep Your City.
But you can't just go. I'm talking about outside of a tournament. You can't just go over there. I'm playing handball with the Mexicans.
Well, you can if they let you in. But it's just not like you're just going to say no.
So what would your friend say if you came over there and be like, yo, I'm trying.
You did grind you up about it. Like, why you over there with the Mexicans all the time? Because that's not something that we do.
Oh, wow. And so if you go over there to play handball, Mexicans like, no, you can't play with us, bro.
Yes. And you got to respect that and keep it pushing and go and find your own group.
You can't slap the fire out of one of them.
You can. Yes, you can. You can do anything your heart chooses to do. But just know that there is another shoe that fall behind this. This is not going to be, and it just well may be you slapping him and walking off and you're victorious. But just know that if it don't go like that, this is what goes on.
So what's your advice or suggestion for someone who's coming on or entering the federal pen or state pen, whatever it is, and they're segregated to a group or being a part of a group? Your advice to them is just say to stick with who you are, what group you are.
Stick with who you are, even because you got groups that's not running with no car, and they're called others. You got groups that's to themselves. They're going to church and they dared and they're doing their little bit of time. But just know, like when you turn to food, like food is prey.
Yeah.
When someone has targeted you someone or people has targeted you and they move in on you, you got to be always battle tested and equipped, ready to go, because you don't have no backing. The cards is basically backing. That's all it is. Where you don't get it took advantage of by yourself. You know, when you ain't walking with a car, it's like you free food. Everybody is, don't be coming out that commissary with them big bags.
And that's crazy that the guards allow you to just go out there.
Yes, they sit back and they know all the guards will be telling you when you get off the bus. You know you gotta get your name called, and then you'll get up and you're shackled up and you got your cuffs on, you got your belly chains on, you're walking off the bus into your jail, and you got to get your name called before you can exit the bus to go into your jail. Now the guards will tell you, listen, we're about to start calling names, and when I call your name, you tell me your number and you exit off the bus and you enter into the jail. But before I call names, I want to ask, have any one of you cooperated against anyone that may be currently in this jail already? If you have, raise your hand and we'll escort you to the hole upon getting
in front of all the inmates. They make it.
Yes, but these dudes will wait till they get in there, because now you got to go see guards by yourself. You got to go see SIS. You got to go see medical. You got to go see, and then you be sitting with these, people by yourself.
So dudes don't raise their hand right there.
No, they'll be in there like, yo, the guard sitting on the bus earlier. Yeah, I got somebody here that I told them. I just ain't want to say it right. The next thing you know, it was 38 of them on the bus. Now, 30 of us is coming out to the compound. You like, well, damn, 38 of us got here. Where the other 8 dudes go?
He told
the Green Mile. Or just checked in. They didn't want to be here.
They get him out of there, out of the prison.
Yeah. They would you do? They're getting you out of there. You don't leave that day. You're going to the hole to sit there until you get designated and shipped back out.
So how long do they normally get down there for?
About 3 months.
Damn.
Yep. So you got to sit there. You got to sit there in segregated housing unit until you get back in for designated, get designated, then get transferred out.
So what happens if a guy see me? I told whatever. I'm gonna come out. I'm just going.
I'm out here. He's standing on his business. What he did, he's standing on. So now that may come with a price of nobody not doing nothing to you. That may come with a price of 6, 7 locks and socks aimed in your direction, or 6, 7 knives aimed in your direction. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be some violence before it ain't none.
Wow. Anything else you want to add in regards to that,
man? Stay out of jail, man. Every time I want to add something, man, every last time, Tawfiq, I want to add, stay from out of there. This is nothing nice, man. And as the days go on and the talks go on in this podcast, I'm trying to instill a awareness in you guys, of the truth, the absolute truth that this joint right here is dark on this side of the fence. And when I say this side of the fence, I mean the penitentiary.
All right, well, you heard it here first. Tales from the Jails.